Today we're going to show you how to round trip from Final Cut Pro to DaVinci Resolve and back again. There's a very simple way to export an XML in Final Cut, import that into DaVinci Resolve, do your color grading, and there's a few options of how you can export that or come back into Final Cut. So let's take a look at it. So the first thing I'm going to do is open up Final Cut. I have in here a basic timeline, and one of the things I've done, because this is something that doesn't always translate well, are titles. So I made a lower third in Final Cut. Let's see how that translates once we get that into DaVinci Resolve. So what I want to do is I want to export an XML of this file. And in order to do that, I want to go up to File, Export XML. I'm going to give it a unique name, and I'm just going to do basic. You have other options in here, but basic or general. For the sake of this, I did basic. And we're going to do the current version. We're going to export our XML. So the next thing we want to do is open up DaVinci Resolve. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select Untitled Project, because I'm going to make a project from the XML. So the way that you want to import the Final Cut XML into Resolve is go into the Edit page. And at the bottom of DaVinci Resolve, you'll see these icons. The first one is Media, the next one's Cut, followed by Edit. So go into Edit, go into your Media pool that's at the top left-hand side. Right-click, and you'll see this drop down. So you want to go into Timelines. Under Timelines Import, you want the top option, which you can see the word XML in there. Now from there, you should be able to see the Final Cut XML, import that. Once that happens, your timeline is now in DaVinci Resolve. Now you can do more than just color grade in here. You can do edits, you can work in the Fusion page. But for the sake of this video, we're going to talk about the color grading. Here's my footage, and you can see what happened here with the lower thirds that I put up in Final Cut. It's not aligned in the right place. This is something that is always inconsistent with Final Cut XML to DaVinci Resolve. Anything that's more of a motion graphic, Final Cut Motion or Apple Motion, is not always going to translate that well in DaVinci Resolve. Now you can go in there and adjust it if you want to, but I would suggest maybe doing your titles at the end, or if you're familiar with throwing the titles on in DaVinci Resolve, you can do that. So from here, we're gonna do our color grade, and I'm just gonna kind of whip through here. So now that you're done working in Resolve, you have two options. You can export from Resolve, providing that you don't have to do any other editing. But if you need to go back into Final Cut to do any editing or touching up, for either one of those options, we're gonna go to the Deliver page in DaVinci Resolve. And that's the bottom icon with the rocket. If it's option number one, where you don't have to do any other editing, you go into Deliver, and at the top left, you'll see options. You can choose an H.264, QuickTime, you can export to YouTube. It's pretty self-explanatory. It is similar to what Final Cut offers. Once that's done, you hit Add to Render Queue, go into Render Queue and put Render All. There's your movie. But if you want to go back into Final Cut, what you want to do is, once again, in the Deliver page, go up to where it says Final Cut Pro X, select that, and what I would suggest is to make a folder. Resolve is going to deliver the individual clips along with an XML. So it's good to have that all in one location. Once you do that, you're going to do Add to Render Queue, and then up at the top right, you see where the render queue is. It should say job number 1. There's the title of the movie. You click Render All on that. Save render job, yes. Lightning fast, look at that. 5 seconds it took to make this. Now you have to go back into Final Cut and import the XML. What you want to do is select your project library, click on File, click on Import XML. You get the pop-up, that has your separate clips in your XML. And from here, you're going to import the XML. So once that's in, here we are back in Final Cut with a color graded image. If you notice in the text that we fixed in Resolve, how that didn't talk to Final Cut as well. So yeah, there you go. You have your color graded footage back in Final Cut. You can work in the magnetic timeline if that's what appeals to you about Final Cut. Makes that a lot easier to manage. There's one other thing that you can do, and the only reason I didn't show this in the initial video walkthrough is because it's an added plugin that you need to get, and that's the B-Raw Toolbox. So if you are working in B-Raw, ProRes RAW, Cinema DNG, you download this plugin to Final Cut. Once you go back into DaVinci Resolve, so you go down to the bottom right, you click this gear icon, you'll get some project settings. There's your color management, and you want to drop down from DaVinci YRGB to DaVinci YRGB Color Managed. It's the second drop down from the color science. What that will do is, if you are shooting in RAW, it applies contrast, saturation. If you've exposed everything right in camera, it's a good starting point. If you're going for a little regular, normal look, it kind of does the color grading for you. You might just have to tweak some of the shadows and highlights, but it's a great start. There you have it. Hope that helps, and thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please leave a comment. Love to hear from you. Take care.